Okay, so I just got back to Chicago from New York City, and I have to tell you, this weekend was phenomenal. Like, Pokémon GO Fest in New York, that was probably the gold standard for how Niantic should do live events. I'm going to be talking about all of my different thoughts and kind of give you a recap of that event. And yeah, that's what this video is going to be. So let's roll the intro and get right into it. How's it going, everyone? It's me, it's Jinsula. I hope you're having a good day and welcome to today's Pokemon Go video. Alright, so I'm running on very few hours of sleep, so I'll try to keep this video as brief as possible, although, considering the amount of thoughts that I had regarding Pokemon Go Fest New York, I'm not sure if that's going to be possible. So yeah, let's just dive right into it. So Pokemon Go Fest New York City, that was probably one of the best live in-person events that I've ever attended when it comes to Pokemon Go. I've attended a lot of them, like a bunch of Safari Zones, every single Pokemon Go Fest that was ever held in Chicago, as well as the Hoenn Tour event in Las Vegas. And I have to tell you, this event was pretty up there. Like, I would say it was a top 5 event. And you know, a lot of that is because of certain things. First and foremost, I think the gameplay was really finely tuned. Like, there was a lot of things to do in a short space. Like, I really did enjoy that part of the park experience. Like, when it comes to these in-person events, one of the things that gets a lot of players very burned out is, of course, the grindy aspect of them. And when it came to this event, it didn't feel as grindy. I felt like when it came to the gameplay and when it came to the special research, it was tuned to a point where you could just complete it very casually and still have a lot of time left over for you to get over to the city experience. Essentially, what they did is that they gave you a lot less to do, but a lot more quality in the stuff that you had to do. So, like, what am I saying? So, for example, like with the habitats, like, there weren't too many varieties of spawns, but there were really good spawns. Like for myself, I started the park experience in the north entrance, and that was where 2 really good habitats were. So I just felt like the spawns were really good right off the bat. Like Aerodactyl with the satchel, that was one that a lot of players were looking for, especially the shiny form, and it was part of the wild spawns. It wasn't something you had to get through field research or through raids or anything like that. It was something you could just collect right away, and I think that's really good. I was also next to the Treasures habitat. I actually forgot what the name of that habitat was, but there were Snorlaxes, there were Sableyes, there were other rare Pokemon like all over the place. It just felt really good to play Pokemon Go during this event. There weren't any trash spawns, I felt. Like, there weren't any filler Pokemon. Some people would argue that there were, but I just felt like overall the experience was just really finely tuned, and that is something that I really want for in-game events moving forward. Obviously, that's going to be difficult for tour events because they're going to be encompassing the entire Pokedex of that region, so naturally there's going to be trash spawns here and there, but when it comes to Pokemon Go Fest, and maybe for Safari Zones, I really like the idea of there being just really good Pokemon in certain areas. That's what made the experience very positive for me in a gameplay point of view. And yeah, I think that's something Niantic needs to build upon for future in-game events. Now, another big aspect of Pokemon Go Fest that I thought was really positive was, of course, raiding. I think the way that they handled raiding this time around was really good. Like, first and foremost, there was a lot of quality of life mechanics that were specifically at Pokemon Go Fest New York that are not yet released worldwide, and I really felt like these small changes made the raiding experience just seem a lot better. Something I mentioned in my vlog is that when you fill up a raid to 20 people, it would automatically start that raid. Like, it would bring the raid timer down from like whatever how many seconds it was left all the way down to about 5 seconds immediately. So you just jumped right in, and I really did like that aspect of it because every single one of the raids would fill up really quickly, so you're not wasting any time just waiting in raid lobby. That was one of my gripes with Pokemon Go Tour in Las Vegas as well as previous Go Fest, is that when you jump into raids, you have to wait the full duration of that lobby, even if you fill up to 20 people immediately. And because of that, you're missing out on a lot of experiences within the event itself. So I really did like the fact that Niantic set it up this way, because when it comes to raiding, a lot of people were engaging with them, and people didn't want to waste their time just sitting in lobbies throughout the day. And then a third thing that I really enjoyed about the gameplay is, of course, the anticipation for a lot of the little things that they included as part of the bonuses with Pokemon Go Fest New York. Of course, I'm talking about Mega Rayquaza, Mega Diancie. Of course, there were a lot of carbink spawns from Incense. Like, there were a lot of neat little things that you could just actively look forward to. Like, I did the morning park experience, so of course with Mega Rayquaza raids, it wasn't until later on in the day, but with Mega Diancie and with Carbink raids, like all that stuff just felt really good and it felt very satisfying. And the fourth and final thing that I really enjoyed about the gameplay is, of course, getting Mega Diancie really quickly. Like, typically these special research storylines for Pokemon Go Fest take pretty much the entire day, and I did like the fact that they just allowed you to breeze right through it, because one of the problems that I really have with in-game events is just how, like, mundane and grindy it can feel. Like, you have to walk to every single habitat and do a bunch of tasks that may not necessarily be fun. And this time around, it was just very simple. Like, you're just collecting Pokemon, taking snapshots at certain habitats, just getting through the steps done really quickly. Like, I think I completed it in record time. Like, in the past Go Fests and past live in-game events, it would take me close to 3 to 4 hours to complete the entire special research storyline and get the mythical at the end. This time around, it took me less than an hour, and I really enjoyed that part of it. I mean, if you watch any of my vlogs from previous Go Fests and the tour events, like, you would know that I'm trying to get through the special research story as fast as possible. So that way I'm not distracted and I'm not trying to, you know, worry about that stuff before I jump into the actual gameplay of the event. Like, I really did like the fact that you can knock it out of the way, and then you could just go on your shiny grinds or raids or whatever you want to do. So yeah, overall, gameplay is finely tuned, and I really hope they use this as a model moving forward for future in-person events. Next up, let's talk about the actual stability of the game. So, one of the things that Niantic has a problem with when it comes to in-game events is, of course, the stability of the servers when it comes to cell signals, because a lot of people are clumped up in one location. So naturally, people are going to have a lot of lag and a lot of different problems when it comes to the gameplay. We definitely saw this in the Las Vegas Hoenn Tour event, but this time around, I felt like there was zero problems. Of course, there were some problems related to Verizon users, but I think that was more on Verizon and not necessarily Niantic. And yeah, they still decided to make up for it, so, you know, good on them for that. But, you know, as a T-Mobile user, I felt like my gameplay was smooth all throughout. Like, if there was ever a moment where I wanted to restart the game, I never had any worries that I would not make it through the entire loading bar. And, you know, in general, when it comes to raids, when it comes to catching Pokemon, I never felt like the game hitched out at any point. So, yeah, overall, really solid experience from, you know, stability and technical point of view, and I think that was a really good thing. The other thing that I did like about the event was, of course, the staff. Like, there were some very helpful staff. Like, there were some problematic staff as well, but in general, I felt like the overall experience was a lot better, mainly because the staff was actually very helpful. And there were a lot of times where I would just kind of see it from the corner of my eye, where players would have different questions, and the staff was very knowledgeable. They knew exactly what to do, they knew exactly where to tell them to go, and I just felt like that was really good. It felt like a lot of the staff was very well trained. But it was actually in this area where I kind of wanted to give my first criticism of Pokemon Go Fest. I felt like some staff was actually kind of rude to a lot of people. Like, for example, a lot of the photo op areas, like, I felt like a lot of the staff that were taking pictures of other players in front of those photo op areas were just incredibly rude. Like, they were constantly yelling at people who just happened to be in the shot. Like, you know, that's not necessarily on players, right? Like, you have to create boundaries, you have to put up signs or anything like that. You can't just expect players to just know what you want. I just felt like that was like one little misstep with the Niantic training. Like, maybe if they're going to have big photo op opportunities, like put up like giant landmarks and they want people to take pictures in front of them, then maybe they should have different signages and rope blocks, you know, something like that. I don't know what they could do, but I just felt like that was one little thing that I did not like about Pokemon Go Fest, and that I would just be wandering trying to get to a raid, or I would try to catch a Pokemon under a specific lure, and, you know, like, I would get yelled at constantly because I just happened to be walking in front of the volcano, and people are not even taking pictures yet. They just don't want people to walk in front of it, which I thought was really weird because we never saw that before in previous in-game events. So yeah, that was just one little complaint, but it's not really a big deal. It's not like it affected the gameplay. It's not like, you know, it made the overall experience bad. Like, I just felt like that was one little thing, so yeah. But overall, I really enjoyed this experience. I think splitting it off between having the park experience and then moving on to the city experience was just a neat idea. I think that was pretty clutch, actually, because I really like the idea of exploring the city that I'm visiting. And New York City is a place I don't often go to, and having a Pokemon Go Fest there just allowed me to actually see the city, because I was going from raid to raid and I was going to different areas that I've never seen before. Overall, that was a really cool idea, and I kind of wish I went to Osaka or London to do the same thing. If they were to ever bring Pokemon Go Fest back to Chicago, I really hope they do that, because there's a lot of places in Chicago that I would like players to explore. There's a lot of dangerous areas as well, of course. I mean, it's the same goes for New York City, but, you know, in general, I think that's a really great way to kind of highlight the host city, and I think they did a really good job with that. So yeah, really happy with my experiences with this in-game event. I really hope they do something similar for future live in-game events, and I really do think this was the gold standard. Like, Niantic needs to get credit where credit is due. They did a good job with this one, and I really do hope they just continue to build upon it moving forward. But of course, we do have the global Pokemon Go Fest that's going to be happening this weekend. If you were not in New York, London, or Osaka, you will be able to have a Go Fest experience in your own city. It may not necessarily be the exact same experience that I had, but, you know, it's going to be fun. So yeah, definitely block off this weekend, because you will not want to miss out on a lot of the cool stuff. Mega Rayquaza is also going to be making its debut, and you will be able to get it for free. Like, not necessarily for free, but you don't have to buy a ticket in order to access it like we did for New York and Osaka and London. So that's something you can look forward to. I do think it's really cool that Niantic is doing a lot of Go Fest related stuff for free. And yeah, it's just another plus that's going to be happening this coming weekend. But in any case, that's going to be it for this video. I just wanted to talk about everything that I experienced this past weekend. Did you go to Pokemon Go Fest New York? If you did, definitely share your experiences as well down below, and let's have a great discussion. And thank you so much for making it to this point in the video. If you enjoyed it and found it to be informative, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if it's your first time here. And also, don't forget that little bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. And I want to give a quick shout out to my patrons on Patreon. You all make this channel content possible. If you want to support my channel in any way, big or small, then do consider checking out the links in the description below. For all my patrons, they get a permanent spot on my in-game friends list. So if you want to interact with me in some way within Pokemon Go, like with remote raids, then do consider joining me on Patreon. And also, if you want to support my channel non-monetarily, you can do so by following me on social media. I'm on the following platforms, and my handle is @CountJinsula, so make sure you go and follow me there. And yeah, that's going to be it for this video. I am Count Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you all later.